So we moved here April 25th, 2009. I was 10 years old at the time. I'm born February 1st, 99. I was 10 years old at the time. I knew barely like 20 words. I knew how to count to 20. I knew hungry, thirsty, and some other simple basic words.
And which country did you move from?
I came here from Bulgaria. I was born and raised there. We speak Bulgarian there. We had a lady that came in about 2 to 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a week, I believe. And it was me and I believe 2 other girls, maybe a third person was there, I don't know. But in total, like 3 or 4 kids in elementary school. And this lady would come in, she would like take us to the library, we would sit in a room, like just the 4 of us with the teacher. And she would ask us like, how we're doing this and that. She would help us out with homework, should take your assignments, look at them, try to explain them better. And that was a lot more like one-on-one type of deal. When I started going to 5th grade, we did kind of get called down about once, twice a week, I believe, for like kind of a similar thing. There was maybe probably the same kids. I don't remember. This was 11 years ago, 10 years ago. And later on, I believe in 6th grade, they still did that, but for the kids that felt comfortable enough, we would only just ask for it if we needed. And, every once in a while I'd get an assignment that I wouldn't understand, or like I wouldn't understand how to complete it or something like that. And instead of wasting like my teacher's time, I'll be like, hey, can I go over and like talk with my assistant teacher or whatever you want to call it?
Sure.
And she'd sit there and explain it to me, like what I have to do.
Would they ever translate it for you into your language,
No.
or just simplify the language?
That was simplified. I don't think
translated.
it's ever been translated now. Now, granted, my language, it's Bulgarian. It's not a very common language.
Right.
The translations, they don't always come out like you want them to be, and there's no way for the teacher to check that.
Sure.
I don't remember doing tests like that. The only thing that I remember is in 4th grade, we had to practice reading something, and there would be like a recording. And I think this was more for like a reading level.
So this was more like in your class, not
everybody did
okay.
it. Everybody did that one, and I remember having to sit there and practice, and we would have to like read a certain amount of words within like a minute or something like that.
And did you feel that you were able to do that okay, even with English being your second language?
So this was in 4th grade. By the end of the year, I was doing just fine. I was keeping up with all the other kids.
Wow.
So about within a year of being in the United States, I was able to keep up with reading with all the other kids.
Had you had any English instruction at all before you came to the U.S.?
Actually, yes, a little bit. In 1st grade, we had nothing. In 2nd grade, we had English twice a week. I think every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 hour period. And then 3rd grade, it was 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But again, I remembered very little from that because I obviously didn't have it for very long. I'm still kind of learning the Bulgarian language,
Sure. And to me, that's what is so difficult. Coming at a younger language, you're still learning your native language as well as
here's the thing. Coming at a younger age is actually the easiest because you're able to soak up a lot more. I started studying Spanish in 8th grade here, so that would be my 3rd language. And I carried it all the way up until I was a senior in high school, so I had to quit mid-semester, like in winter, because I was missing some classes. But I tried to study Spanish and learn from that. When I was in 8th grade, I was soaking it up, but as I went on up until like sophomore, 8th grade. As I went on in sophomore, junior, senior year, I just couldn't learn anymore. I'll just sit there and Google translate everything, do all my homework as best I could off Google Translate pretty much.
Right.
And right now, I probably remember like 1/100th of everything that I've learned.
Do you think that when you were learning English, when you spoke Bulgarian and you were learning English, you didn't Google Translate?
No, because it wasn't.
Do you feel that you learned faster versus, say, like when my students come today, the way we translate for the first year or so is through Google Translate. Do you think that is an advantage or a disadvantage?
There's good sides and bad sides to Google Translate. Like I said, I came here in 2009, 2010. Technology, smartphones, they were not up to like what they are right now. You couldn't just whip out your iPhone and translate your speech. You just couldn't do that. And honestly, I feel like that definitely helped me learn the language faster because I wouldn't have the option of cheating per se.
Right.
I didn't.
You didn't have like a crutch to fall back on.
I didn't cheat myself of learning it. I just had to soak it up and learn it. Now, yes, I was younger. It was easier for me to learn. But at the same time, when I grew up and when I tried to learn Spanish, I relied so much on Google Translate that now I don't remember it,
Sure.
If I didn't rely on it as much, it wouldn't have been as bad. The thing that helped me the most to learn English would be the surrounding environment. Everybody around me, besides my parents, spoke English. The surrounding environment is very important because if you continue to have your own language in school, outside of your house, you're never going to learn the language. For example, in Chicago, there's about a population of 300,000 Bulgarians. There's Bulgarian stores, Bulgarian restaurants, there's everything there. If you're a Bulgarian living in Chicago, you can literally make yourself feel like you live in Bulgaria.
Wow.
And at that point, many of the people there, they don't care to learn the language, It's kind of like here, you can get, if you're, let's say, a native Spanish speaker, and you can put yourself in a community where everybody speaks Spanish. I mean, you have Spanish stores, you have everything in Spanish. So if you put yourself in that type of environment, why would you want to learn English? You just go to a Spanish-speaking store and you wouldn't have to use English.
Sure.
But in general, just if you surround yourself with the environment and with the language that you want to learn, you learn it a lot quicker. And using Google Translate and stuff like that, that is a cheating way of doing it, and you're not going to learn it as quickly as you want to learn it. One thing I remember from when I didn't know a word or something like that, I would explain the word. Like, for example, we have Christmas decoration here. If I didn't know what this is, which I honestly wouldn't even know what to call it right now, like Christmas ball, I don't know. What I would say is like the round ball thing that you put on a Christmas tree, and you would know what I'm talking about.
Right.
That's the way I would go about explaining a word or something that I did not know what it was or what the name of it is.
Right. How is your Bulgarian now?
A lot worse than my English.
A lot worse than your English.
A lot worse than my English.
Do you feel like what have you lost the most in Bulgarian? Would it be speaking, writing, reading?
Writing. I definitely lost writing the most because I don't practice it.
Sure.
Because I don't have the need to know it. I don't have the need to write anything in Bulgarian, so I've literally forgotten the alphabet. Not that I've forgotten it. If I see the letter, I know what it is. But if you ask me to tell you the Bulgarian alphabet right now, like in order, I don't think I could. Which is bad, but at the same time, like I'm not in Bulgaria. I don't need to know it. I know enough to read. I know enough to write my name if I had to. I know enough to sign documents if I had to. I can, like I said, I can read. But it's just if I had to sit down and write you an essay in Bulgarian, I probably couldn't. I mean, I could, but it would take me a very long time.
Really?
So it's, I talk with my parents in Bulgarian every single day at home. Like that's all we speak at home. With my brother, we FaceTime and stuff like that, and I speak with them in Bulgarian. And the only Bulgarian is really with my family, like my mom and my dad.
Sure.
And then my brother. So that's that. But yeah, I definitely know English way better than Bulgarian now. Way better. And like sometimes if I'm working on something and I need to count, I just start counting. I don't even think about what language it is. Like I count Bulgarian and English. It doesn't really matter to me. My thoughts, depending on the subject, I can either think in English or I can think in Bulgarian. It just depends on the subject and the environment. If I'm like around my parents, I'll probably think in Bulgarian. But if I'm like here right now, I'll probably think in English.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, growing up, were there ever times you've had to like be the translator for your parents when you go places?
From the moment we got on the airplane from Europe to get to America, I had to start doing that. This was in 2009. I was 10 years old. I barely knew anything. We're all
Wow.
okay.
So, like doctor's appointments and I mean
Everything.
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 How do you think that? What do you think that's like for kids when they have to kind of take on that adult role? Does it help them? Does it give them too much responsibility? Like, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so I was 10 when we moved here. From a very early age, I had to grow up and start doing the grown-up things. Like I literally have all my toys that I ever had in America in one little box. Like I did not have toys here. Like I left all my toys at home in Bulgaria and came here, and I had to grow up like, right away. I've literally been doing my parents' taxes since I'm like 15, I think, or 16.
That is amazing.
Like literally doing their taxes, like sitting down, filling out their W-2s on the computer or paper, something like that. Like I'm like right now, I know the login to all their bank accounts, all the bills we have to pay, like our TV or our internet, everything like that. I'm the one doing it. And yeah, like I said, I pretty much had to grow up at a very young age and experience a lot of these things at a very young age. And that obviously helps me a lot. Like my parents, they share absolutely everything with me. And
are you grateful for those experiences?
absolutely. Because of them, I know how to go on about these life things. Like